Hello.
I'm so glad you're here today. If you don't mind, could you introduce yourself and give a little bit of a backstory?
Absolutely. I am Rachel Welch. I am the founder of Revolution Motherhood, which is an industry disrupting fitness and lifestyle methodology for women. Really about educating you about how your body works so that you have the tools and capacity to thrive in your woman's body over every life event and chapter from prenatal to postnatal, perimenopause, and hopefully well into your 80s and 90s.
That's incredible. That is disruptive. Like you talked about in our interview, most of what you trained in, as you found out, was very male centric.
Yes, the kind of little known secret, and it's been the blind spot of most, I would say, of the fitness industry and instructors, even people who have created all of the pre and postnatal apps and fitness methodology, is that it's coming from a male paradigm. All of the modern day fitness styles and modalities, from yoga to Pilates to lifting to even sports training, they were designed by men for men's bodies and then superimposed on a woman's body. And when I became a mom and discovered that truth, just very personally in my own body, that there was no language, there was no preparation. My oldest daughter is 13 years old. And that was when I really, my eyes were open. And 13 years ago, diastasis recti wasn't even a spoken term, let alone deep core and pelvic floor. Nobody was talking about any of that. And so I stumbled into the world of postpartum and going into my own recovery and suddenly realized I know so much about the human body, about physiology, about fitness, about Eastern medicine, and I have no idea what just happened to my body. And that lit the fire inside of me because I just really saw how much the industries I was devoted to and a part of, were failing women. And that's when my eyes really opened to the fact that nobody had educated me. Nobody had invested their time and energy in understanding a woman's functional body, let alone their muscles and how their muscles function and change and need different kinds of cross training over different life events and different decades. Unique to a woman's body is that we go through maybe 6 iterations in a lifetime, right? Men's bodies just don't go through that many changes. They go through puberty, they live, and then they get old. I talk about this with my husband, joke about it. But a woman's body is like we go through puberty, we go through our 20s, which is really biologically like height of our childbearing years. But most of us are living our 20s, not getting into having babies yet. We get into preconception and we really start thinking about what is this going to do to my body? And increasingly, thankfully, women are starting to think about that. There is that conversation occurring. But what is happening now is that there's so much coming at you all the time, and everybody is so sure they have the answers. And oftentimes it's really conflicting information. And it's presented in this should and should not and black and white sort of idealism about how your body is and is not. And a lot of that messaging now is it's very compartmentalized, right? It's like you are prenatal, so you do this. You don't do anything else. You are postpartum, you do this, you do nothing else. And nobody's really talking about the idea that you are in one body over a lifetime. And how do you embody yourself over that lifetime and understand the changes that are occurring to you so we can disrupt those fear cycles, right? We don't need to be afraid of our body. We don't need to be afraid of the changes. If you understand how your body works, you're in the driver's seat to really navigate your healthy, thriving life for the whole arc of it.
It's bizarre how I think about yoga as some feminine thing when it's all men who created it. So that must have completely rocked your world.
It
Um,
did, and it was like it was confusing because I was in it, and I was like, "I don't understand why I don't understand." And also coming at it in those early days of postpartum for my first baby. I was a new mom. I just had given birth, and from the outside, I'm an athlete. From the outside, I looked like the bounce back mom, zipping up my pants and going for a walk. And I was trying to do everything right. I was being told, like, "Don't move for 6 weeks." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I won't move for 6 weeks." And I still remember what day it was. By day 12 postpartum, I was desperate to move my body. I was so sore. We all know, everybody who's given birth knows, like 2 weeks in, your shoulders are rocks. You haven't slept. Your back is killing you. You have gone through the athleticism of delivering the baby, which is like multi marathons stacked on top of each other. And then you are showing up and momming a newborn, which is so physically demanding. And then to be told you can't do anything for your body. Don't touch your body for 6 weeks. And my husband actually just asked me the other day, he's like, "Why is it 6 weeks?" And I had to think about it. I had to stop and think, like, why would they give it a 6-week timestamp? And I was like, I bet you anything, I have not checked this, but I bet you anything it is because the insurance companies decided that's how many appointments they would pay for. Like you can go and see your doctor after 6 weeks because you are generally women have stopped bleeding at that point if it was a vaginal birth. Cesarean's a little different. You get more checkups, but appropriately with cesarean, you actually don't start moving, right? Until you can actually stand up and walk around again. That's surgical recovery. From a vaginal birth recovery, it's like generally women have stopped bleeding around 6 weeks. They're like, okay, you get one checkup appointment, one follow up. So we're going to say it's at 6 weeks. So before your doctor looks at you, don't do anything. And I'm like, okay, there's a difference between going out and going for a run 4 weeks after you give birth versus making your achy muscles feel better and helping your body heal and acclimate and reduce the stress and tension that comes with those early weeks of postpartum, right? Those are really two different messages. And one is really fear based and restrictive and full of do's and don'ts. And one is listening to your body. How do you feel? Do you feel like you need to move because your body hurts? Let's put you on a soft foam roller and roll out your neck and roll out your butt and make your feet feel good on a little squishy ball. And let's do some breath work and start to just bring your center body back into life because you just gave birth and it is completely checked out. It's like just start breathing down there and start re-embodying the space that has been massively transformed because you just delivered a baby, right? And through those acts, we're doing two things. We're starting to embody ourselves. We're getting to know ourselves in those early days. There's so much emotional, psychological transformation occurring as well, and hormonal transformation. And all of that is commingling on a physical landscape. So if we can use our body as the gateway to beginning to incorporate all of these different facets of motherhood that are cracked open when you give birth, at the same time that you are supporting your body's organic and natural healing. We're building confidence in women. We're teaching them everything's okay. We're teaching them to come back to their bodies for those check-in reality moments. Like you're going to be bombarded with information. You're going to be bombarded with advice for your entire rest of your life, right? Do and don't do this with the baby for the rest of your life. You're going to be getting those messages all the time. And you're going to need, I call it like litmus testing. Like you're going to need to be able to litmus test that information and find out what's right for you, what resonates for you, what is correct for you and your family. And that happens because you know yourself. And you know yourself because your body is the gateway to that knowing.
And if you had a traumatic childbirth experience, it seems like it could be even more important somehow to immediately checking in with yourself through the gate of healing physically.
Yeah, we all go through the unexpected in our childbirths, right? And I say this to prenatal moms all the time. Hold your values closely and your expectations lightly, right? So creating a plan, and then we get into childbirth and all of the unexpected is going to occur. And so you're prepared and then you go into it and you go with what is. And sometimes it is really traumatic, both from the medical perspective of what they've done to you without consent a lot of times. And equally, the act of childbirth is big. You're holding life when like saving moms' lives, saving babies' lives can be traumatic if things are going south quickly, which they do. And there's already an enormous amount of our own like family of origin stories and history that come up for us as moms when we're holding our newborn, right? And we're looking at, oh my God, now I'm doing it. All of our own garbage comes up. We have our hormonal changes that are just like, we're crying and we're laughing at the same time for weeks. We're exhausted. Our entire beings have been cracked open by this little person that now owns us heart and soul, right? And then on top of that, to experience really hard truths that might have gone down while you were delivering. And starting to process that. It doesn't happen in one day. Like it is a process. It's called processing for a reason. It takes time. And in the act of your body healing and in the act of tending to yourself and paying attention to yourself, there is a natural processing that can occur. Feelings can come out. You can cry when you need to cry, and it doesn't get bottled up and turn into like massive anxiety, massive postpartum depression, right? Those are real conditions that thankfully the world is starting to talk about more and pay attention to. All of those very real conditions are a conglomerate of different aspects of self. One of the major ones is your physical body. And while there are chemical changes where, I never judge anybody's level of intervention needed when it comes to their emotional, psychological health. Same with their physical health. They get surgery or don't. Like, I never judge any of that. What you are left with, though, are facets of yourself that need to be reintegrated and healed and knit together and created as a whole again. And almost every aspect of your health will be improved because you're moving your body every day.
So you talk about how motherhood is potentially one of the biggest opportunities for growth in a woman's life.
Yeah. So on two fronts. One is, I'll start from my personal experience. One, which was when I became a mother for the first time and I'm holding my baby and I'm looking at her, it was like all of these kind of hindbrain aspects of who I was and who I imagined I was were suddenly alive. I was like, oh, this is who I am. Like, this is what I am. It was just like, it was who I was lit up. And all of these qualities of courage and love and resilience and strength and softness were really born in me at the same time that I became a. And I think that some version of what I just described is true for every woman. You become a mom, there is a massive self awakening. And if that can be held and embodied with a lot of space and a lot of compassion and a lot of love, you are able to bring those aspects of yourself that previously had been maybe a little bit asleep, a little bit over here on the right side, like in the blind spot, but you're aware of it, bringing all of that to the forefront and letting it feed your purpose on this planet in this lifetime, right? There is incredible force and strength in a mom, really unique to the animal of the mother. And if you can see the transformation that has occurred in your body and the kind of the slate getting wiped clean that is your physical body, right? Very few people get their body like driven to zero and get an opportunity to rebuild it from the ground up. So that's what childbirth does. You grow, you deliver, you're injured, you've got stuff going on, and you're going to rebuild this like magnificent body from the ground up, from the inside out. And in the act of doing that, you are simultaneously supporting and feeding and bringing to life, like cultivating and incubating all those parts of motherhood and self that were born when you became a mom as well. You get really embodied. And it's an incredibly magical kind of formula that all of the strength of your ability to multitask, your ability to like anticipate needs, your ability to run on really little sleep for a long time, your ability to do so much is not turned into like an overwhelming, self-depleting, like fork in the road. This is my path to decline physically, mentally, and emotionally. My job is done. My body's done. I'm going to become a frumpy old mom, right? That's one version of things. That's one societal story we've all lived into. The other one is like a new road. It's a new story. It's a new narrative. And that is one where motherhood is the opportunity of your lifetime to live in your body better than you ever have before because you are mature, you're disciplined, you have the ability to pay attention to detail in yourself that you previously were unable to. It is in that act of paying attention to yourself in detail that you are disciplining your mom mind, which goes crazy. We all know the crazy mom mind, right? You're disciplining your attention and your thinking, and you're understanding how your body works in a way that is going to support you staying active and thriving really until your last breath, right? And that's my goal for all women is that we're not getting through motherhood, doing okay, working out, we're okay, little injuries start to happen. And then we run up into the wall of our late 40s and 50s, and the transformations that occur with perimenopause and menopause become that next fork in the road where we lose bone mass. We're unable to work out because our muscle mass is deteriorating. Our hormones are changing and we're feeling like we're insane again. That's where motherhood, that moment is like such a preparatory opportunity, not just for your physical longevity, but for your mental, emotional longevity.
You just keep blowing my mind. We are not taught this.
No, we're not. And that's so much of where I come from is I'm in the task of educating and community building so that we can keep educating each other. Because what we're rewriting and redesigning, especially in Revolution Motherhood and in this mission, is we're redesigning the narrative that women are living by, that expectations about what our lives can and cannot be that are not our own. We've inherited them from generations before us, from society's imprints on us now. And heightening our awareness and questioning that, like, it is really essential. I've been working more and more with some brand new moms. They're like some moms in their 20s, and my daughters are 13 and 8 now. So I'm not in my 20s anymore. And for me to hang out with a 23-year-old new mom and start asking her about her body, and she's, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just fine. I guess my back hurts a little bit. Like we're just indoctrinated into overriding our body's messages to coping unless it's a screaming situation in the body where we need medical intervention. But if there's nothing that like an outside force can do for us, we don't even talk about it. We don't even look at it. We just override it and keep going. And it just takes 5 minutes of me asking, show me how you're breathing. Let me see how your core is turning on. I did this a couple weeks ago. A mom gave birth to her second baby. She's like 25. I'm on a Zoom with her and I'm looking at her belly and she's like, I don't know. It's just not, it doesn't feel like it's coming in. And I'm like, it's not. I don't know, let's just change the way you're breathing. And it's like subtle little differences of how we engage our muscles, how we engage with our bodies. It's not just go back to the gym. It's you need to turn certain muscles on. But if you don't even know to ask that question, the possibility is lost. Like you don't know what you don't know. And that's what I'm running into with women is like, especially newer moms right now. They're getting all of this social media information about pay attention to your pelvic floor. You have to rehabilitate first after you give birth, then you can work out again. All of those are appropriate messages, but how? And who do you go to? And the bottom line is, I want you to go to whoever lights you up. You have a favorite yoga teacher, go get into that yoga class and light up. But I want you to know what you're doing so that you can do that, so that you can enjoy the activities of your life that bring you joy, whether that's chasing your kids around on the playground or being a triathlete and everything in between, that you can really enjoy the physicality of your life. And so for me right now, it's really like lighting the megaphone and saying to women, nobody taught you how to work out. I guarantee you. Nobody taught you what your muscles do, what their original function is, like why they lay in the places they lay in your body, the changes that occur to your body when you become pregnant and become a mom. You lose your pec muscles, your boobs hijack your pec. Equally, early motherhood hijacks your back muscles, which are the other half of your pecs. So you are constantly in a crunched over position like this, which is pressing down on your abdominal wall and your pelvic floor. So it's not about just let's get into the pelvic floor. It's about how do we build the system as an integrated body that can move and live and be free and be whole. So that takes some muscle isolation. It takes some mental education, meaning we're going to teach your brain to turn on the correct muscles we're thinking about. And then once we get that track work laid, we strengthen. And once it's strengthened, we integrate it. And so I give moms like mindfulness homework all the time. How are you bending over the crib? How are you pushing the stroller? How are you breastfeeding? How are you bottle feeding? What are the positions you're in? Let's give you some subtle adjustments so that you're moving in rehabilitative directions rather than reinforcing compensation patterns that are creating pain in your body.
I have twins and
How old are they?
17 months.
Mm,
I had a C-section. I'm just giving you all the information. They were premature. That's all I'll say, but
yeah,
mm,
yeah,
you get it probably just from
I
that.
do.
But I have lower back pain, and I've been just saying, "Oh, it's because I haven't re-engaged my core yet because the C-section." But I just
Yeah.
keep saying that to myself instead of really actually figuring out how to, because I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I'm in pain, but I don't know if it's something I could change. Or if I get in there and I try to change it, I might find something bigger than I can handle. That's another one that I get a lot.
Yeah.
It's genuinely scary to take the lid off the can of worms of your body and be like, all right, I'm going to get really real with this and find out what's going on. And that means you're going to
Yes.
feel the stuff physically and emotionally and mentally that needs your attention. And it can get messy and it can get inconvenient for a minute. But also, what I tell everybody, and I have to tell myself this all the time, feelings are not the wheels coming off. The wheels coming off are when you try not to feel. And that's when the wheels fall off of your life. Like that's not the human condition and it's not what we were designed to be. And there's nothing more coupled of emotional and physical than motherhood. Like you need to feel your feelings and just let them out. I tell people all the time, like I cry on every time I get on my mat. Even if it's just for a second, I'm just like, I feel a wave of sadness and it comes into me and I'm just like, God damn, that was a hard week. And I just needed to cry for a second because it was really stressful and I got through it and I held it together. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing that needs to be processed. That was just a really stressful week. And I just like need to cry for a second because it was really hard. And damn it, I'm glad it's over. And now here we go. Now we're like picking it up and going forward.
That's so healthy.
Yeah, it's just okay. That was hard. I just need to cry for a second. And then I need to laugh. And then I'm gonna look at my kids and I'm gonna remember all the stuff that's awesome about my life. And because I'm sad doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. It means I'm human. As mom, you're no longer just one thing. Like you're everything all the time.
Oh my God. I feel like that's like the thesis statement of my life and
Yeah, yeah.
like everything that we've been talking about. That it's so
Yeah,
true.
yeah. I used to
Wow.
joke, actually. I don't say this very often anymore because most people don't really get it, but I'll say it here. The yoga, so I was a yoga teacher before like shiatsu and yoga were my first modalities. And in the yoga or in the Hindu pantheon, they're all of their deities. I think every woman, like every goddess representation, has way more than two arms and often more than one head, right? But it's like, if when I became a mom, I was like, I get it. Yes, women have 10 arms. We grow 10 arms. Yes, and nobody else does that. Anyway, that's always been like this joke and private joke in my head. I'm like, yes, I am like, I've got the 10 mom arms and I'm doing it. Yep.
I love that. If you had to draw the image of a mother, that
It's a
would be
yoga
it.
goddess, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would say about, when it comes to, talking about pain, talking about getting into your body, not all of the unknowns that are represented in the act of starting to do something about your body. One, really normal and common that women don't often even think about doing something for their bodies until a couple years postpartum. It's not
Oh,
the norm that women are like 4 weeks postpartum, bam, I'm back in it. That is one small subset, but the norm is a couple years later, especially with twins, like you are in
Mhm.
it. And it's not until you can like actually have some semblance of a schedule, some semblance of a reliable routine, some sense of I have this day in, day out that you can even contemplate yourself. And that's
True.
normal. And I think that a lot of times women beat themselves up for waiting 2 or 3 or 5 years and then suddenly being like, I missed the window. I'm not newly postpartum anymore. And oh, hell no, you've been working really hard. And now you have a little tiny bit of bandwidth and you're putting it on yourself. Like, high five, let's get it done. It's a drop in the bucket, actually, of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, and it goes by in a flash. And all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh my God, me. Yeah, I was there too. I had my first and I was stayed home with her and I was like, it was my body was one thing, but my mental stimulation was what I started paying attention to at 2 years. I was like, oh, my brain, my adult brain. What am I going to do with that now? I am no longer playing itsy bitsy spider on the floor every day. I need a little bit of adult time.
I'm gonna
Uh,
have to continue being an adult.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's like we are starting to have more autonomy between baby and mommy. And
Right.
now, how am I going to cultivate these new interests and cultivate my curiosity and continue to grow myself? Because I have a lot of life left, hopefully.
Absolutely.
So for you, I would say with your low back pain, the soft foam roller will be your best friend, which is, I'll just plug Revolution Motherhood here for a tiny second because
Yeah.
it is really disruptive information. It's a disruptive method that when you give birth and you're told, like, work out, it's not accurate because you need to cross train your body in a brand new way and cross train. And it is true for the rest of your life. You are doing a physical job that is athletic on an already compromised body as a new mom. That's why you hurt so much. It's why your body's tight all the time. So it's not just, oh, go to the gym and work out. You need ways to alleviate the stress and tension. And that's where the soft foam roller comes in. Because I use that, I call it ironing out your body. And I can get into all the anatomy of what it actually is doing, but I'll just call it that for now. We're going to iron out your body so that we can gain access to muscles that we actually need to strengthen and turn off all the crazy overcompensating muscles like your shoulders, right? You don't have a chance of getting into your core if your back is tight and not moving. You're going to be fighting like a kind of an unwitting tug of war within your body. So we use a soft foam roller and iron you out. And it's also one of those things that at the very beginning, when you're like scared to get into your body or not sure, sitting on the roller makes you feel good. And it's like this immediate moment you're like, oh, this is what it feels like to be relaxed. This is like you start to remember, oh, when my nervous system isn't on high alert. Oh, when it doesn't hurt to bend over and stand up again. And then all of a sudden, you realize, oh, there are things I can do for myself that are going to really make every day easier, better, and more fun in my life. And from there, from ironing you out, then I educate you and I get your deep core turned on, your transverse abdominals, and I teach you how your deep core relates to your pelvic floor, to the chest muscles I just talked about being hijacked. I teach you how your deep core feels when it's turned on, what it feels like when you've lost it, and I teach you how to strength train it. And then once we have that established stability center, then we get into the external muscles of like your six pack, your back, your butt, your thighs, and we can go to town and it's great and it's progressive. I never leave you in PT. Like you need to be strong. So we go 3 phases. Like phase 1, I'm educating you and I'm building you week over week through your body. Phase 2, I'm kicking your ass. Phase 3 is your cross training boutique fitness home with yoga flows and hit and ab shreds and full blown everything. So, and there's always a place to live, right? And there's never a like time frame. It's like phase 1's 8 weeks, phase 2's 8 weeks. And in almost every video, I'm like, maybe it's months. Um, who knows how long phase one is going to be for you? Go on to phase two, and you're like, actually, I really missed those videos in phase one. I'm going to go back. It's like women's lives are not linear. And I think the expectation that our fitness is linear is really a mind fuck for us. Like, we have got to be able to establish the fact that we are circular beings. And so it's never just, I did this check, I'm moving forward. It's, I'm living it. I'm a living, breathing being. And it means I am going to cross train myself and love myself and tend to my body in a really intelligent, loving, fun way that gets me endorphin high. It also teaches me how to relax and let go of a hard day. And it does everything in between.
I love that. I love that. We're not linear. Look at how we orgasm. You might as well just say it.
Yeah.
So we're different from men in that way and in so many ways.
Yeah. I actually just wrote a blog post on this. I don't know if it's live yet, but I just wrote a blog post on this about the linear dad brain and the circular mom brain. And I was like, and as I was writing it, I was like, actually, if I could just distill down to the very basic differences between men and women, is that men are linear and women are circular. That's it in every facet of our lives, both the way we
Oh,
think, the way we feel, the way our bodies work. And I was like, if we could all, this took, I've been married 16 years, and my husband and I can all play with these aspects of ourselves rather than fight about them. But like, we can get to that place where it's like, oh, his superpower is to do a task. And he like doesn't deviate, right? He won't see the laundry. He won't see the dishes in the sink. He won't even realize that dinner needs to be being prepped because I asked him to do something and he's doing it, right? Totally different than the way we operate, where we are holding like 50 balls. We're thinking about the needs. We're anticipating dinner. We're watching the clock. We're folding the laundry as we walk over to put something else away. That's just this like nature of the beast. And yet each task we're doing is a little bit diluted because we're holding so many, right?
doing what you are good at or even what you enjoy more is the way to go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Listen, it's been really lovely to talk to you. And just like on a personal note, I know you're getting a code to the app, to the RMMAMA app. Please let me know. I'm happy to send you an essential kit, get your roller, and get your back feeling better.
Thank you so much. That
Yeah,
is
totally. Totally.
so
And I think all your listeners get a discount code. I think it's 3 months free. Come on over. And it really is just step and pushing play and hearing words and contemplating that you can do something to make your life happier. The biggest challenge is just getting over your thoughts and doing it. And then the habit of pressing play, like you get excited to do it. You're like, oh, I'm just going to go do that 10-minute video. It feels so good. But it really is about that first step of just like getting over your head and just being like, I'm just going to do it. I know it's good for me. I'm just going to do it.